What happens when the job you built your life around is suddenly done better by a machine? This isn't some sci-fi scenario, it's now. Today, AI writes code, diagnoses diseases, creates art, even makes decisions. Faster, cheaper, more efficient. The future of work didn't sneak up on us, it kicked the door down. And with every job it disrupts, it hits deeper than a paycheck. It shakes identity. Because for most of us, our job isn't just what we do, it's who we are. You don't just have a profession, you become it, the artist, the manager, the teacher, the technician. But when that role is taken, or threatened, something else is taken too, your sense of self. Psychologist Carl Jung called this the persona, the identity mask we wear to survive in society. But what happens when the mask cracks? When the role collapses? When we're forced to ask, what's left of me? On the surface, job loss looks like a money problem. But underneath, it's an identity crisis. Carl Jung wouldn't just ask, what did you lose? He'd ask, who did you think you were? A job gives us structure, purpose, a place in the world. It answers the question we all dread at parties. So, what do you do? When AI threatens that, when it takes what made us useful, it doesn't just cut our income. It cuts our worth. Think of a master woodworker. Hands rough with decades of craft. And now, a machine does it better, faster, cheaper. What's lost isn't just work. It's meaning, pride, a sense of I made this. That's why the fear runs so deep. It's not just about bills. It's about the story we've told ourselves for years, suddenly falling apart. Here's where Jung takes us deeper. The persona. It's not just the job title. It's the social identity we build around it. Teacher, engineer, designer. It's the mask that helps us belong, and the story that says, this is who I am. But here's the danger. We start to confuse the mask with the self. Jung warned us, the persona isn't the truth of who we are. It's a role, a performance, a way to fit in. So when AI threatens that role, it doesn't feel like we're losing a job. It feels like we're losing ourselves. The doctor replaced by diagnostic software. The writer outpaced by code. The artist drowned in AI-generated images. It feels like humiliation, like vanishing, because when the persona dies, we don't just lose status. We lose the illusion of who we thought we were. Beneath the persona, there's something even darker at play. Jung called it the shadow. The shadow is everything we don't want to admit about ourselves. The fears, the doubts, the insecurities we bury deep. And AI? It's the perfect mirror. We say we're afraid of losing jobs, but that's surface. The real fear? Being useless, replaceable, obsolete. The anxiety isn't just economic, it's existential. Because AI doesn't just outperform, it exposes. It reflects back every thought we've tried to silence. I'm not smart enough. I'm not creative enough. I was never that special to begin with. We project our shadow onto the machine. We make it the villain. But what we're really afraid of is what it reveals about us. And that's why the fear of AI feels so overwhelming. It's not just new technology. It's an old wound, exposed. When a role disappears, it's not just disruption. It's a kind of death. Jung would call it a psychological death, the end of who we thought we were. And like all deaths, it comes with grief. Not just for the job, but for the identity tied to it. Think of someone who retires after 40 years. They don't just stop working. They lose a rhythm, a status, a reason to get up in the morning. And now, AI is accelerating that collapse, faster, younger, and without warning. But Jung reminds us, when the persona falls apart, the real self has a chance to emerge. It's painful, it's disorienting, but it's also a doorway. Because maybe, just maybe, the mask was never who you were. And now, you get to find out what's underneath. Jung believed life's ultimate goal wasn't comfort, it was individuation. Becoming your whole, authentic self. And strangely enough, that often begins when things fall apart. When the role drops. When the identity breaks. When the mask no longer fits, losing a job, or fearing its loss, forces a question most people spend their whole lives avoiding. If I'm not this, then who am I? That's not a crisis. That's a beginning. Because the self, the real, inner you, isn't limited to a career. It isn't bound to a title. It's deeper, older, untouchable by machines. AI might strip away the roles, but it can't touch the self. And maybe, for some of us, this disruption is exactly what we needed to remember who we really are. So how do we survive this shift? Not just economically, but psychologically. Jung's work gives us a blueprint. 1. Separate your identity from your profession. You're not your job. You never were. Your job is what you do, not who you are. 2. Journal your deeper qualities. Write down traits that exist beyond work. Your humor, your empathy, your creativity, your grit. These can't be automated. 3. Face the shadow. List your deepest fears about AI. Be brutally honest. Then ask, is this fear really about the tech? Or is it about me? This is how the shadow begins to lose power. 4. Reinvest in what AI can't touch. Relationships, nature, spirituality, art, connection, meaning. These are human, and they always will be. You're not just a worker. You're a being, a soul, a story, and no machine can replicate that. It's easy to get stuck in fear, but Jung would say, collapse is just the start of transformation. Every ending in the psyche is also a beginning. AI might strip away the repetitive, the mechanical, the shallow. But in doing so, it opens up space for the human, for the deep, the creative, the conscious. Tasks will go, but meaning? That's yours to create. What if AI forces us to stop outsourcing our identity to productivity, and instead, start asking who we are when we're not performing? Maybe the rise of machines is what brings us back to ourselves. The fear around AI isn't just economic, it's psychological. It's the persona cracking, the shadow rising, the self waking up, and yeah, it hurts. It's scary, but it's also an invitation to confront what we've hidden, to step outside the roles, to ask, what if this isn't the end of my story, but the beginning of a truer one? AI will change what we do. That part is certain, but it doesn't get to decide who we are. And as Jung would remind us, the self is far deeper, far wilder, and far more resilient than any machine. If this gave you something to think about, hit like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, who are we, without our work?